In the early 2000s, one of the very first Airbus A320s sold to China suddenly vanished from radar. No commercial records, no passenger logs. The French manufacturer was stunned when their nearly $100 million jet simply disappeared without a trace. It became known as the ghost plane. 2 decades later, French intelligence finally uncovered the truth. The aircraft had been carefully dismantled, piece by piece, to copy every component. That process led to the creation of China's C919, their direct answer to Boeing and Airbus. But here's what doesn't make sense. Despite airlines around the world waiting over 10 years for new jets and a global aircraft shortage, almost no one outside of China flies the C919. The reason why exposes how the aviation industry really works. China proudly introduced its first large passenger jet, the COMAC C919, a narrow-body aircraft that took over a decade to develop. It was meant to rival the Boeing 737 MAX 8 and the Airbus A320neo, the two giants that dominate the skies. These aircraft make up more than half of the world's entire passenger fleet, ruling domestic and international routes alike. For decades, Boeing and Airbus have maintained an unshakable duopoly, controlling roughly 90% of the global market. But behind this seemingly invincible partnership lies a fragile reality. Boeing's recent crises, safety failures, quality problems, and production delays have shaken the entire industry. Airbus, despite trying to ramp up production, simply can't build fast enough to fill the gap. And that's where Beijing saw its opportunity. The C919 would first dominate China's domestic market, then gradually expand to challenge Western aviation across the globe. But everything changed when Alain Juillet, former head of France's DGSE intelligence service, revealed a shocking secret. According to Juillet, China's homegrown C919 was, in reality, a meticulous copy of the Airbus A320, dismantled, studied, and reconstructed part by part. In the explosive documentary France-China, The Secret War, French officials recalled how one of the first A320s sent to China vanished completely from radar. The $100 million jet never appeared in service. It simply disappeared. Years later, intelligence reports confirmed what many suspected. The aircraft had been torn apart in a secret facility. Patrick Duveau, former vice chairman of economic intelligence at Airbus, later testified that the plane was disassembled with one clear goal: to replicate every component and understand its engineering in full. He even pointed to the striking similarities between the C919 and the A320. Then, in 2021, the ghost plane was reportedly discovered abandoned in a field in Jiangsu province. Airbus denied the accusations, but Duveau suggested something deeper was happening. Confronting China directly, he explained, would have been politically and commercially impossible. The world of aerospace depends on delicate partnerships and billion-dollar contracts. Calling out theft publicly might destroy future deals entirely. But the story didn't end there. Despite COMAC's grand ambitions, the C919 still hasn't attracted a single international buyer. Not one. Think about that. Boeing and Airbus are buried under massive order backlogs. Airlines everywhere are desperate for new aircraft. A new 737 MAX or A320neo ordered today might not arrive for more than 10 years. Yet, even with that shortage, no foreign airline has stepped up to buy the C919. At first glance, the program looks healthy, over 850 orders from 24 customers. But when you dig deeper, nearly all of those orders come from Chinese airlines or leasing companies owned by the state. COMAC itself is also government-owned. So, despite enormous global demand, no independent international airline has taken the risk. Why? The C919 faces three fundamental problems. Challenge number 1, performance. The C919 can't match its Western rivals in range or fuel efficiency. And honestly, that's surprising. This is a brand new 21st century jet built from scratch. Meanwhile, the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320 are decades-old designs. You'd expect the newer plane to outperform them. But the issue isn't COMAC's engineers, it's their suppliers. Here's the twist. Roughly 90% of the C919's parts come from foreign companies. Despite being known as the world's factory, China still lacks the high-tech expertise to produce many of the specialized systems used in modern commercial jets. Because of China's reputation for reverse engineering, Western suppliers remain cautious. Many refuse to share their latest technology, forcing COMAC to rely on older, proven, but less efficient components. The clearest example is the engine. The C919 uses the LEAP-1C engine, part of the same family that powers the A320neo and 737 MAX. But according to detailed reports, the -1C version is less advanced, more similar to an older engine design from the 1970s than its modern siblings. That downgrade has real consequences. The C919's operational range is limited to around 3,000 miles, far shorter than its Western competition. Challenge number 2: reliability and the supply chain. To understand why building a successful commercial airliner has been so difficult for China, we need to look at how Boeing and Airbus earned their dominance over decades. All three jets, the C919, Boeing 737 MAX, and Airbus A320neo, are single-aisle narrow-body aircraft designed for similar markets. On paper, their specifications seem nearly identical. But COMAC struggles with the two most important pillars of aviation success: reliability and supply chain strength. While COMAC manufactures its own fuselage, the C919 still depends heavily on Western suppliers for vital systems: mechanical assemblies, landing gear, flight management, and cockpit avionics. These critical components, and the global networks behind them, are exactly what made Boeing and Airbus so reliable and trusted. Over decades, those companies built stable, long-term partnerships with suppliers across the United States, Europe, and allied countries, including Japan, Britain, France, Canada, Italy, and Germany. That web of collaboration gives them access to advanced avionics, hydraulics, and maintenance infrastructure, the very systems that support every plane long after it leaves the factory. For COMAC, that global integration simply doesn't exist. And things got even harder when the United States government added COMAC to a list of companies allegedly tied to China's military. The move restricted access to American technology and financing, tightening the pressure on its already fragile supply lines. Even if those restrictions vanished overnight, there's still another major obstacle: support infrastructure. Airlines require constant access to spare parts, repair facilities, and certified maintenance centers around the world. Maintenance alone consumes 10 to 15% of an airline's total operating budget. Any supply delay or part shortage quickly becomes a financial disaster. And right now, COMAC has almost no international service network to support the C919. Reliability concerns go beyond theory. Chinese-made aircraft have faced real credibility challenges in recent years. Take the JF-17 fighter jet, marketed as a low-cost alternative to the American F-16. On paper, it seemed competitive. But Myanmar's Air Force recently grounded nearly its entire JF-17 fleet due to repeated technical failures. Meanwhile, the F-16 continues to operate with remarkable consistency across decades and dozens of air forces worldwide. That gap in dependability highlights the enormous challenge China faces in earning global trust for its aircraft. Challenge number 3: availability. Even if the C919 were perfectly reliable, airlines still need planes they can get now, not years down the road. And that's where another problem emerges: production speed. China may be the world's factory for everything from smartphones to cars, but passenger aircraft are a completely different game. Each plane is built from millions of precision-engineered parts, assembled under extreme quality and safety standards. As Boeing's recent troubles have proven, even one mistake can have catastrophic consequences. There are no shortcuts in aerospace, no good enough standards. COMAC still has a long way to go before it can build aircraft both quickly and safely. The result? Painfully slow production. Since official manufacturing began in 2011, COMAC has completed only around 10 aircraft, averaging less than one per year. Boeing and Airbus, by comparison, each produce more than one plane every single day. COMAC does have ambitious goals. In 2024, it aimed to build 7 aircraft, a clear improvement, but still a fraction of Western output. Looking ahead to 2030, COMAC hopes to reach 150 planes per year. That would be a major achievement, but even at that pace, it would take well into the 2030s to fulfill its existing orders. By then, the current backlog advantage would disappear. Airlines need solutions now, not promises for the next decade. Still, none of this means COMAC should be dismissed. Both Boeing and Airbus openly recognize China as a real long-term competitor, and for good reason. The country has enormous financial resources, a vast domestic market, and proven expertise in large-scale manufacturing. But the modern aviation world is unforgiving. Success demands cutting-edge efficiency, proven reliability, and global support networks. And in all three areas, the C919 currently lags far behind. COMAC's path forward is clear, but it's steep. Until it abandons the copy and undercut strategy in favor of genuine innovation and homegrown technology, Boeing and Airbus will maintain their duopoly over commercial aviation. The question isn't whether China can one day challenge that dominance. It's whether they're willing to invest in the decades of authentic innovation required to earn that position legitimately.